CFA fam, what is up? What is happening? It is Sunday morning. We're on to week 12, right before Thanksgiving. So exciting. Fantasy playoffs are only 3 weeks away at this point. So, a lot of people are in must-win games this week, or um, games they have to have, or for playoff seeding and all those things. So it'll be a fun week. It's kind of an interesting slate of games. I think there's some real spots that look really good this week, but there's also a lot that just doesn't look great. Kind of
Yeah.
I'd say it's an average week at best. Like I'm not expecting just these huge scores that you're going to need to be able to win this week or anything like that. So I think next week actually looks a lot better. So overall, just all the games that are on the entire weekend. So
Bye-mageddon doesn't help either.
no, yeah, massive bye weeks this week. 6 games on bye, obviously, and thankfully next week there are no byes. But then we go right back to the 6 teams on bye once again the following week. So.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. I don't get it. I think it's stupid. I think they should, especially in the weeks where what was it, week 7 or 8 or whatever it was, there was no buys. Why not just make that week the 16 bye and then not have any more buys, after Thanksgiving? But I don't know. Anyways, injury report's pretty light this week for the most part. We did have the Brock Purdy get ruled out. Devonta Smith has been ruled out. Jake Ferguson, which we expected. Isaiah Pacheco has not been activated yet. Probably going to happen next week. And then, which makes sense because they also have the little short turnaround as well. They play on Friday. So, and then Tajay Spears, Brandon Cooks had a chance to return, but he is not going to be returning. The one to really monitor, I guess, is Ladd McConkey, but I think he's going to play this week. I don't think I know he's considered a questionable game time decision, but he played through the AC sprain that he has. He suffered it pretty early in that game against the Bengals. He played through the entire thing. He's practicing limited on Friday and Saturday. So I don't think there's a lot to be concerned with Ladd McConkey. I expect him to play. Jonathan Brooks supposed to make his debut. Adam Thielen's back as well. And then DeAndre Swift, Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen are also all expected to play. So that is a positive for this week. Obviously, this week we get the Brandon Allen in for Brock Purdy. And then, the giant situation with Tommy DeVito taking over as quarterback. So,
yeah, hopefully that Brock Purdy injury doesn't end up being a multi-week thing, which looks like it might be a possibility. So,
yeah, the 49ers have been so weird this year with reporting we had the stuff with Christian McCaffrey where it didn't seem like it was that big of a deal. They kept playing it off like it wasn't that serious. And then all of a sudden he missed, 9 weeks of the season. So,
yeah, double Achilles tendonitis.
Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully not. Because if not, the 49er season, or if it is, 49er season's pretty much over. It's already thin because of the their record and everything right now. But
yeah.
Anyways, let's get some of these questions everybody's here for. C-Crip, hey guys, I need help at wide receiver 2, Jennings or Quentin Johnston, full PPR. In order to pick up QJ, I have to drop Kareem Hunt, but I also have Tracy to fill in the spot, starting DK, Jacobs, and Connor.
I'm not dropping Hunt to make that move, so I would just keep Jennings. I don't think there's that much that separates them, and especially today's game, I am not dropping Kareem Hunt. He should be locked into your lineup.
Yeah, I definitely think that's and we'll see. Brandon Allen. Obviously he's not Brock Purdy. He's not some great quarterback, but he has had looking back to his game. He had a game where he threw for 330 yards. And Kyle Shanahan typically does a pretty good job with quarterbacks. So I don't think it's a massive downgrade. It's certainly you should be downgrading most of the pass catchers, but I don't think it's these guys become almost unplayable, like you would with a really bad backup quarterback. So I still think Juwan Jennings is fine. So, and then ET morning TFA, I have a 2-parter non-PPR. Start 2 wide receivers: Debo, Hopkins, and Jameson Williams, and then start Love or Geno.
So in a non-PPR, I'm going to sit Jameson. Then I would go Geno. That's close though.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. It it just kind of depends on what kind of game this turns out to be for the 49ers and Packers game. It was looking like it was going to be an awesome game, but um, you just kind of question like how much does he really need to do
Yeah.
in that game. So yeah, I think I agree. I would go Geno here. There is some weather concerns with the Arizona Seattle. It's nothing. It's nothing wind. It's basically that there's a chance that there's heavy rain during the game, but that's about it. Also, DSC to fire up between Bucks, Packers, and Cardinals.
Bucks, Packers, Cards.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks here on that.
Yeah, Tampa Bay for me as well.
Michael Gill, morning guys. Half point PPR. Would you start Downs over Dobbins, Hunt, or Monty? I would start him over Dobbins.
Yes.
And then Andrews or Goddard. This is gonna be Goddard for me. I think Goddard turns into like a top 5-6 tight end now that Devonta Smith has been ruled out. It's kind of always been like the cheat code for Goddard is when one of the wide receivers is out is whenever he sees a big uptick in usage. So with Devonta Smith ruled out already, I have Goddard now as a top 5 tight end. So
yeah, completely agree.
And then Otton or Goddard, I'm still going to go Goddard here.
Yeah, I think so. Just curious to see what ends up happening with Mike Evans. Like, I think if you have him, you're plugging him in, but it also didn't seem like through his like practice reports that he's necessarily going to be like a complete full go. So I think there's like the potential that he gets subbed out a little more often. And obviously, if that happens, that bumps Otton up.
Something to pay attention to in that game as well. This is the other kind of game we should be kind of taking a look at in terms of weather. It's supposed to be 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, sustained winds to start that game. And then it is supposed to drop, I guess, as the game goes on. By RotoGuider saying by the late in the game, it should be dropped down to about 10 miles an hour. So that is something to at least keep in mind for that game. Halfway PPR have CMC and Walker play Tracy or Hunt in the flex.
Hunt for me. I like Tracy, but you have to worry about them being able to like sustain drives and move the ball down the field, which not a question or a worry in that KC game.
Yeah, I think he's a safer play for sure. Halfway PPR, Javonte or Rachaad White. I'm gonna bite the bullet and I'm gonna go Javonte, and I'm sure I won't regret it.
Yeah, I like Javonte as well. I was looking through some props this morning. Do you have any idea what his rushing line is?
I don't know, 36 yards.
Fantastic, Kev. Very well. 37.5. And like I feel like it should be a smash, but like I was just like, I ended up putting it in a parlay with an alt line, and I took over 25 for his rushing yards. I wanted to smash that at 37.5. It's like, dude, it's gonna end up being a Jaleel McLaughlin game or go back to Estime or like some goofy shit. But between these two, I like with Evans coming back, I don't think this is a situation where Tampa Bay is going to have to throw the ball, and that's how Rachaad White has gotten there. And it's really been on a lot of receiving touchdowns as well. I just don't see that being a necessity for them today.
Yeah. And then Hockenson or Jonnu. This is going to be Hockenson for me, especially with Josh Oliver ruled out. I think that helps because for whatever weird reason, the Vikings have been utilizing Josh Oliver a lot as the number 2 tight end in the passing game. So I do think this helps TJ Hockenson quite a bit.
I'm going to go with Hockenson as well. But like, it felt like I know a big part of what Jonnu did last week was that broken play for like the 50-yard touchdown. But like he's just been super consistent as well. So like, I feel like this is someone I'm going to keep fading, and it's going to keep biting me in the ass.
Yeah. And then Houston or Denver defense. It's gonna be Denver for me. I like Houston a lot as well, but I'm gonna go with Denver. Denver is my number one defense this week.
Denver.
And then Scott, good morning. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate that, Scott. Flex 2, full PPR. Hubbard, White, Downs, Reed, and Pollard.
Downs and Reed.
Yeah, I do think Pollard's interesting with Tyjae Spears ruled out, but it's not a great matchup against the Texans' run defense. So I would probably stick with that. And then at tight end, Jonnu or Will Dissly.
Again, hopefully this doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, but I'm going to go Dissly in this matchup against the Ravens. Dissly's quietly been really consistent himself. Hasn't been putting up the same numbers as Jonnu over the past like 4 or so weeks, but I like this matchup a lot.
Yeah, it's one of the best passing matchups you could possibly get. And so, and Dissly's been seeing a ton of work as well. So, yeah, I would probably go Dissly. I have Dissly at my tight end 9, and I have Jonnu at 13. So, Bo or Baker?
I'm going to go Knicks.
I am too. I do think this is kind of an interesting spot for Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield's been so good this year. Getting Mike Evans back, I mean, it does look really well, but I just slightly like Bo Nix more.
If I felt better about Evans, this would be Baker for me. But I'm just not entirely sure what that looks like for him today. So,
yeah, I tend to agree. EC, start 2, Stevenson, Swift, Hubbard, Dowdle. It's going to be Stevenson and Swift for me.
I'm going to go Stevenson and Dowdle.
Yeah. I don't hate it. It just worries the hell out of me with Rico Dowdle that they do some silly stuff and put Zeke in there and all this. I mean, yeah. Hubbard obviously, has been really good this year, but hate the matchup. I mean, it's not a great matchup either for DeAndre Swift, but DeAndre Swift is pretty involved in the passing game, so that helps as well. I know he's dealing with his own little injury, but I don't necessarily love like any of these running backs, but I lean towards Stevenson and Swift. Flex 1, Dobbs, Thielen, or Coker.
I'd probably just take the swing with Dobbs.
I think Thielen, there's a lot of risk there, just because we don't necessarily know the role how he's going to go. But I feel like that he's good enough to go out there and play. That I think that he probably makes the most sense, just being the number one target. We've seen it in the past where he's had, with Bryce Young, where he's played really well, especially early last year. So I think I would just take the swing and go with Thielen. And there's a larger chance that they're in a negative game script, that they're going to have to throw the ball a lot more than what Dobbs has. I think there's a chance, and they spread the ball out so much. It makes it tough to trust any of them at this point. I mean, even Jaden Reed has kind of fell victim to that this year, but Jaden Reed still has the highest ceiling of all of them. So I think I would just go Thielen, but it is close between Thielen and Dobbs. It's not like I feel awesome about this call type situation there, but yeah, I'm gonna go Thielen. James Williamson, Reed, Jennings, or Eckler for flex.
Reed.
It should be. If it was Brock Purdy, it would be a smash, 100%, no doubt about it. Juwan Jennings, Jennings was bordering to be a top 12 wide receiver for me this week, but it's just hard to know what to look for with how Juwan Jennings is going to go. It's a new quarterback. How our target distribution is going to go now. It's just tougher to trust. So I think I agree. I'd just go Jaden Reed.
I think it ends up being because of the backup coming in. I think this ends up being a game where we see Debo more involved than he has been the past couple weeks.
Yeah. Walito, deep in the trenches this week, need 2 in PPR. Thielen, Butte, Lobby, Vele, the touchdown machine that is Nick Westbrook-Akine.
Again, I'm probably just going to swing with names like this, and I'm going to go Kayshawn and NWI.
We're not going to be a help for you, Walito. I'm going to go with Thielen, and I don't mind Booty, but I think I would go with Devon Vele. It's a little bit more. I wish you could say Dylan Lobby, but I have zero idea or an inclination of how this is going to play out. Because I mean, Amir Abdullah has been way more of just a pass catching back. I mean, for years, like he's not a guy that's going to go out and get 20 carries. But at the same time, I don't know if this game script's going to be in that situation, anyways, where any of these guys are going to see much work. So I don't know what to expect from Dylan Lobby. I think they also have like Sincere McCormick too. Like who knows if he mixes in. Like it's just a gross situation. So I would go Thielen and Vele for me.
Do you know if I will say this? If Josh Reynolds isn't active, I haven't seen anything. I'm trying to see if I know his practice window opened. He did not play last week.
Did they activate? Because they would have had to have activated him yesterday. So if they didn't activate him, then he's not playing.
Not returning week 12.
Yeah.
All right, so never mind. So I would go Vele then. That was the one thing that was like keeping me a little bit off of it, just because the last time we saw Reynolds come, Vele just said I think he was like a healthy scratch, I want to say. So I would go Kayshawn and Vele.
EC, Kraft or Jatavius Sanders?
This is going to be Kraft.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I wish I could say, because like the matchup is definitely Jatavius Sanders, right? But we've seen some wonky stuff with Tommy Tremble. I don't know why. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't really affect. I mean, Jatavius Sanders, was a draft pick for them this year under this, regime. Tommy Tremble's been on this team for a while. Like, I don't really understand why they do this, but if Tommy Tremble was out, it'd be pretty easy. Jatavius Sanders, just because the Chiefs have been so bad against tight ends this year. But Tucker Kraft has been so incredibly inconsistent. Like, there's a possibility he could get you 0, but he could also get you 15. So I'm gonna go Kraft. I don't really feel great about it though. Like, to be honest,
the only reason why I feel good that Kraft will at least be on the field. I can't say the same about Sanders.
Let me ask you this, like, because this is where I feel. I assume that for EC, I assume that Luke Schoonamaker is available. I would assume if he is, I would say for me personally, I would rather play Schoonamaker over both of those guys. I think Schoonamaker, I mean, we saw him last week. He was targeted 10 times. Cooper Rush has been checking down or looking for his tight ends a lot. I mean, last week we saw tight ends get targeted 16 times by him. So it's not a bad matchup for Schoonamaker. Schoonamaker is a really athletic receiving tight end. So like this isn't bad. I mean, this was a guy, what was he, a second round pick for them a few years ago. So I really like Schoonamaker. I have him I think I have him at 14 this week. I have him ahead of both of these guys. I have Kraft at like tight end 19. I just have no faith in Tucker Kraft being able to. I know he had a few games here and there, but I feel like we're just chasing something with him. There's so many pass catchers here that they can throw the ball to, and so I just don't love it. And then Jatavian, like we just talked about. So I would, if he's available, I would go Luke Schoonamaker over both those guys. I'm personally firing up Luke Schoonamaker quite a bit.
I agree.
Gerard, choose 2 halfway PPR: Debo, Tank, or Quentin. It's gonna be the first 2 for me.
Yeah.
JR, morning, boys. Happy Thanksgiving week. Yep. Happy Thanksgiving week to you. How do we feel about the Chargers today? I have Herbert going in place of Josh Allen, Disley, and J.K. Dobbins, halfway PPR. Thanks. Justin Herbert is a top 3 quarterback this week. I have missed my QB3. He's pretty consistently a top 5 quarterback, pretty much all around the industry. I'm a little bit higher. It's a elite matchup against the Ravens. It's inside the dome, so that's also a really good positive. We don't have to worry about weather concerns or anything like that. But so I really like Justin Herbert this week. He's also running the ball quite a bit. They're utilizing him in design runs as well. So this game could absolutely shoot out. Has the highest total of the entire weekend. So I would go Justin Herbert here for sure. Or I love Justin Herbert today. I should say. You're not asking to start set, but Justin Herbert's in a great spot.
Yeah, the only one I'm lower on is J.K. Dobbins. So it would depend on what other option you have at running back for J.K. But I like Disley a lot. Already talked about him. We had that start sit question earlier. So really like the Chargers. Just the matchup is not great whatsoever for Dobbins. And if he didn't score 2 touchdowns last week, I think we would be looking at him a lot differently.
Yes, absolutely. Like what we've seen teams try to do against the Ravens is because you can't run against them. Is you are just short screens and stuff like that, basically as an extension of the run game. The problem for Dobbins is he doesn't have like a massive ceiling in terms of targets. Like he has the one outlier game in week 8 where he saw 7 targets. Other than that, it's basically 2 or 3 targets a game for J.K. Dobbins. So that is highly concerning. He's also losing touches now to Gus Edwards as well. So I don't love J.K. Dobbins this week. Ronnie, morning, Goff or Knicks? I'm going to go Goff.
Goff.
Michael Brown, Dobbins, or Hubbard? Oh, boy. I think I go Hubbard here.
Not going to be any help, Michael, because I'm going to go Dobbins.
I just think with his usage, I mean, I don't think Jonathan Brooks matters here, especially Miles Sanders. I don't think is playing. So, like, I just think at best, Jonathan Brooks comes in and takes those touches. Like, I still feel really good that Hubbard's probably still going to see 75% of the opportunities for this backfield. He's involved in the passing game. He's top 12 in targets this year. Even if, he struggles to really get a lot going on the ground, I think he can be utilized in the passing game a little bit more. It's still not a great matchup, but between the two of them, I just go Hubbard. Kyle, pick one. Tua or Jordan Love? This is Tua for me.
Yep.
Dobbins or Ridley, full PPR for Ronnie. This is going to be Calvin Ridley for me.
Yes.
Gerald, half-point PPR, Hawkinson or Ertz? This is going to be Hawkinson for me.
Agree again.
Hines, full PPR, Jones or Stevenson? Scared with Jones' production going down every week. Thanks.
I would still go Aaron Jones here. Just because Stevenson could be game scripted out of that game potentially.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, Chicago's run defense, especially recently, has really started to fall off a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not as scary of a matchup. So I think I would go Aaron Jones as well. Though it has been frustrating because Cam Akers has really started to dig into his usage.
I'm curious though, like how much of that is related to the injury. You know what I mean? Now he's going to be another week removed from that. So do we see it go back to a little closer to what Jones had been seeing in the weeks leading up to it?
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, because earlier in the season, like he'd gotten to the point where he was basically like a bell cow and just getting all the touches. And they seem to have really pulled the reins back on that. So Rashad White or Cade Otton at flex, half-point PPR. I'm going to go Cade Otton here.
Cade Otton.
And PPR, who you want rest of season, Nico or CMC for Michael? This is like
goodness gracious.
I'm gonna go Nico Collins. Crazy enough, but especially if something were to, like if Brock Purdy's out for a long term, that's still gonna hurt this offense. And I am not a tape grinder. That's not what I do, but so there's been some people out there that do that and that have said just by watching him, and now it is a small sample size of 2 games, he doesn't look like Christian McCaffrey. Like he doesn't have the same explosion and which kind of backs up like the numbers behind it because like he hasn't been very explosive or anything like that. So he's been getting there through the passing volume that he continues to see. So obviously it could be really wrong on this and end up, but also I just love Nico. Like Nico, I think Nico is a top 3 or 4 wide receiver like the entire rest of the season. Like it wouldn't even seem as crazy if I mean we just had a 77-yard touchdown that was called back from last week off a penalty in his first game back, but he has been when healthy. I mean before he got hurt, he was the wide receiver 1 in fantasy football, and I don't think that's changing.
I think there's more of a wide range of outcomes with CMC. This one to me is like super roster construction heavy. Yeah, like if you have another really strong running back behind CMC you feel good about, I wouldn't mind sending Nico. But if your running backs are rough, I wouldn't mind buying CMC either. So this one is like really roster dependent to me. In a vacuum, I would still lean CMC, but like it's not the smash it was, 3 months ago.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of volatility with Christian McCaffrey moving forward.
For sure.
I mean, I still
but then too, the other thing to worry about is something does happen to Purdy. If they lose the next 2-3 games and they're out of it, do they just shut him down?
Yeah.
So that's in the range of outcomes as well.
Yeah. Like I said, they're like basically on the cliff, just kind of teetering there of what direction they could go here. Of this team could just completely fall off a cliff the rest of the year. Hines, do I risk leaving McConkey in my lineup and him not possibly playing Monday, or should I start down instead of him to be safe?
I like Downs.
I do really like Downs. I will say this though, I have zero concern that McConkey. I was looking at that before the stream started to see if I could find anything, and everything I see is he's probably going to play. Like there's not a whole lot of concern here. Kind of try to look at like some of the famous doctors, like there's 1 or 2 that I really trust, and both of them seem pretty solid that he's going to play. Like I said, he played through last game. Seems like a very minimal impact to him of this AC sprain. He's practiced both days. I highly doubt he's not going to play. I think there's a 95% chance I'm putting that he's playing. So I'm not really all that concerned with McConkey not playing. I do have McConkey ranked higher than Josh Downs, and I do really like Josh Downs this week as well. It is a great matchup for Josh Downs. The Lions are a slot funnel, top 5 PPR points to slot wide receivers. I just lean McConkey. I have McConkey at wide receiver 12, and I have Josh Downs at wide receiver 14. So I really like both of them. If you don't want to risk it, it's perfectly okay to go to Josh Downs. Like you have another really good option there to go with. Start one in a tight end premium. Leggett, Disley, Waddle, Watson, or Schoonamaker.
It's going to be Disley for me.
Yeah, I think so. I'd love to say Jalen Waddle, but, that doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen this year. I'm sure it's going to, and it's going to come at a time where nobody's playing him because everyone's just completely fed up. Which that might be now. It happened today. Because I don't know a lot of people that are playing him. I'm playing him because I don't have a choice because I have a lot of people on buy. But it's just been weird. It's been a really weird year for that entire offense. That offense really hasn't been the same this year, even when Tua is back. Like they haven't been that super explosive offense that we're seeing these deep balls for and everything else. Like Tyreek Hill hasn't been that guy this year, so I don't know. It's been a little frustrating. And then JR, I have Herbert going. Oh wait, didn't we already answer this?
He didn't give us the rest of the
oh, that's right. Yeah,
quarterback options.
Herbert. Do I keep him in or change it to next to Richard? Oh, no. You're staying with Herbert.
Yeah. Yep.
Buys injuries have teamed up against this year. Yeah, I think it has for a lot of people. It's been a pretty rough year for especially if you went like wide receiver heavy early.
Yep.
Tua or Kyler Murray? This is going to be Kyler Murray for me.
Yeah, I think so. But I also low-key really like that Dolphins-Patriots game today.
Yeah, I mean, I just like Kyler. I prefer his rushing upside. Tua can be frustrating because he doesn't provide any of that, and like for him, like he doesn't really ever hit like or very often hit a monster ceiling. Especially, I don't know if this is a 4-point or 6-point passing touchdown league. This is something we should probably always, because it does matter. Because if it's a 4-point, then it skews heavily to Kyler Murray. Because Kyler Murray, could get you 40, 50 yards rushing. He also has the ability to run one in. That's probably not going to happen for Tua. Like you need Tua to go out and have 303 or 4 passing touchdowns to have a really good game, where Kyler doesn't necessarily need as much of that. So I just prefer Kyler because of his rushing upside. I think he provides a safer floor. Anthony, John Mechie or Adam Thielen? This is Adam Thielen.
I'll go with Thielen here. I think something that could potentially help is I wouldn't be surprised, and I didn't get a chance to mention this whenever we had the Coker question earlier, but I think there is a chance that Coker is inactive, which would obviously consolidate the targets even further.
Yeah. Is Carson excited to watch the Chiefs today?
Woke up to him crawling into my bed this morning wearing his Travis Kelce jersey. So, yeah.
Let's go. Good for Carson.
Although I felt bad, though, because last night I mentioned to him, like, potentially going to the game today. And I was like, we're going to have to wait until the morning. We'll check the tickets then. And then, like, literally, he crawled into bed. Did you look at the tickets yet? I literally, like, I wasn't even awake until you crawled into the bed, bud. And I started looking through, and like still the cheapest ones in the nosebleeds were still like I think the cheapest one I found was like $95 a pop, not including whatever bullshit $30 fees they tack onto it at the end. So felt bad, but he seemed like he got over it quick. Thinking about if the weather's okay next week, there were tickets as low as $19 for Tampa Bay coming in. I feel like that'd be a fun team to go watch. So. Might try and take him next week instead.
Yeah, that's that Taylor Swift effect, I guess. Just raises the prices up significantly.
I guess
it is crazy that there's such a massive difference between the two.
Literally, the cheapest one's $100 a pop, and then next week it's like 17 or 19 were the cheapest ones I found.
Like I probably could have understood if like the Panthers were good this year, and like it was going to be like a good game, but like it doesn't feel like that. So like I don't know. Seems kind of wild to me, but whatever. Crystal, George Kittle or Will Dissly? I'm still gonna go with George Kittle here.
Oh man. I have this same pairing in a dynasty league. I picked up Dissly this week. I'm thinking about starting both Dissly and Kittle, but right now I have Kittle over Dissly.
I did drop Kittle down. I had Kittle down as a top 4 tight end this week. I dropped him down a little bit. Still not like I still have him at 7. So and I have Dissly at 9. So Ryan, good morning. I need a wide receiver to flex from Dell, Johnson, Odunze, and Javonte, half-point PPR.
Wide receiver and a flex.
I'm going to go with Tank Dell and Odunze.
I'm going to go Dell and Quentin Johnson.
I just like, have we got the final word on Keenan Allen yet either?
Expected to play.
I wish they would just cut him. He looks.
The only thing that worries me with Odunze is we talked about this on the wide receiver show, I believe. We know the Vikings are going to blitz the fuck out of Caleb Williams. And although that offense definitely looked better last week, there's only so much that Thomas Brown is going to be able to do to fight against the blitz going up against the Bears' horrendous offensive line. So I feel like that could really limit the passing offense as a whole. Whereas we talked about the matchup for the Chargers already, Quentin Johnson back from the dead. So I feel like the ceiling is higher with Quentin Johnson. I feel like there's a wider range of outcomes and like a really low floor for Odunze.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Yeah. I just really like Odunze this week. I mean, he saw 10 targets last week. He kind of looks like he's emerged as the team's number one wide receiver. Things were a little bit different with DJ Moore. It's just so many really short screens and underneath stuff for DJ Moore. So, yeah, just Johnson's a little more volatile. He's definitely gotten there in weeks. This is a good matchup. I mean, he's a top 36 wide receiver. I just have Odunze a little bit higher than Johnson. Harry, Dobbins or Aaron Jones? Full PPR is going to be Aaron Jones for me.
Sorry, I'm typing in prop bets into the Discord at the same time as we're doing this. Yeah, Aaron Jones over Dobbins for sure.
Stafford, Tua, Richardson, or Love? This is going to be Anthony Richardson for me.
Yeah. I will say if you don't want to deal with the potential of Anthony Richardson just turning back into a pumpkin and looking awful, Tua would be my next choice here.
Yeah, so I have them ranked. I have Richardson, then Tua, then Love, then Stafford is the way I have it.
Jalen Coker is out, by the way.
Level up for Adam Thielen. Michael Gill, KC, or Houston? It's going to be Houston for me.
Houston, but it's close.
It just worries me with the Chiefs. Chiefs haven't been getting pressure at all. And the one thing that I'll say that I'll give Panthers a lot of credit for is they've spent a lot of money in their offensive line this offseason. It's helped. Their offensive line's been really good. They have one of the lowest pressure rates in the league. Like, they've been giving clean pockets. And the Chiefs haven't been a team that's been able to get home and get to the quarterback. They're in the bottom half of the league in terms of sacks. They really need some of these guys back that's going to be coming back. Charles Minihue is supposed to be coming back. He's not back today, but he's the other guy that's coming off IR here soon. But so I'm a little bit less on. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Bryce Young has thrown an interception every game this year. So like that, there's always those possibilities. But Houston just sets up really nicely against Tennessee, especially with their offensive line as bad as it is there for Tennessee. Wendy Cush, Johnson, Dell, Akine in the flex. This is going to be take Dell for me.
Dell.
What is up, AP? Skidmaker's not available, unfortunately. Ferguson already jumped on him. Kraft is on my roster. Best available are probably Jatavian, Theo Johnson, Isaiah Likely, who recently dropped. I'm going to go with Theo Johnson here.
Oh, Penn State, great.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Like, he's the other guy that like I would definitely be considering this week. He's been getting, again, it's a new quarterback, so take that for what it's worth. But I mean, he's been targeted in his last 3 games. I mean, this is a player that's been targeted, 16 times, 12 times over his last 2 games. So, yeah, I like Theo Johnson quite a bit.
Also, everyone can start getting used to the name Luke Reynolds. He's the next tight end coming through. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Penn State great.
Penn State great. After Tyler Warren comes out, gets first-round draft capital.
Were you a little nervous there last night?
Oh, the asshole is clenched for sure. That butthole was puckered up for the majority of that game. What really annoys me, and I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole because I won't shut up, is Adam Rittenberg from ESPN just put out like a very general tweet that just said like, hey, on one of Aller's throws toward the end of the game, it was like, great throw from Aller. Penn State does just enough to get the win. And you would have thought that Penn State, if you weren't paying attention to the game, you would have thought that Penn State beat them fucking 50-3. the amount of Penn State fans that were in his mentions being like, "Oh, what do you mean? Just barely did enough? What are you talking? What were we watching different games? Like they, by definition, did just enough to get by
Yeah, they won by what, a point? Wasn't
a
it
point
26-25?
by
Like
1 point. Yes, couldn't stop the running game from Minnesota. They got really lucky with a very questionable pass interference call in the second half. So it just really bothers me whenever fans can't be at least like semi impartial. I get it, fan short for fanatic. There's a lot of emotion involved, but just look at it objectively. Like you could have argued Penn State almost didn't deserve to win that game.
Yeah, I will say this though: the college football playoff is getting wild. I mean, all the teams that lost yesterday, especially in the SEC, a lot of those teams that look like, I mean, Ole Miss lost to freaking Florida.
Yeah, that was bad.
You had Colorado lose to KU. KU's been out here just looked terrible all year, and then all of a sudden, the last 3 weeks, it's been out here knocking off ranked teams, just messing up the entire Big 12. Alabama lost. I mean, didn't even lose. I mean, 24-3. And as bad as Oklahoma or has looked this year, I mean, Oklahoma's looked dreadful. I don't know that and come on out OU. Like you were supposed to be one of the blue buds in college football, and you rush the field because you beat Oklahoma. Like, what are we doing? Like, stop it. Okay, like that's beneath you. But anyways, I don't know. I'm actually really looking forward to the college football playoff. Like, I think it's gonna be fun to watch this year.
Hell yeah.
It's only a matter of time. They're gonna keep adding teams to it though, for sure. Like they're not gonna miss out on this cash cow.
No, it's gonna end up becoming fucking March Madness.
Yeah. Secret JSN or B Rob full PPR. Man, this is tough. I really like both of those guys a ton today, but I'm gonna go with JSN.
I'm gonna go with B Rob.
Both are in really good spots.
Crip, who else are you starting?
Yeah, that's a good question too, because I would love to play both of them.
Yeah.
But because this is a great matchup. So the Cardinals are another team that is a severe slot funnel this year. They allow it's like top 4 in fantasy points allowed to the slot this year, but they are one of the best against outside wide receivers. Not saying that DK Metcalf can't get there, but it just JSN also plays 100% of the snaps from the slot. So I really like JSN a lot today. He actually out-targeted DK Metcalf last week as well on his return back. So really like Brian Robinson too. Great matchup, obviously, against the Cowboys, but I would lean JSN just on that. But Harry Thielen or Christian Watson, half-point PPR. I would go Thielen here.
Yeah, I guess.
AP, choose 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, and a flex. Kyron, JT, K9, Zay Flowers, Ridley, and Dobbs. So it's going to be I'm going to play the first 3. Kyron, JT, and Kenneth Walker.
And then Flowers.
Yeah. Eric, need help. Aaron Jones or Tyrone Tracy at the flex. I'm going to go Tyrone Tracy here.
Tracy for me. Yep.
Karn. Hey, boys. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing well, too, Karn. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving this week. If you're celebrating. Not everybody celebrates Thanksgiving. People don't even live in the United States, whether it's not Thanksgiving at all. That exists, too. Chimbo, Jade Reed, or Tracy. PPR, I'm already overweight this game playing Evans and Otten.
I like Jaden Reed here.
I think Tyrone Tracy is the safer option among the two, just because we know his usage. Brian Dable came out and said that he is still their starting running back. He also said that he wants to try to get him more involved in the passing game, which he should be, because this is a fourth wide receiver. Like there's zero reason whatsoever he shouldn't be more involved in the passing game. So I think I would go Tyrone Tracy. It's just Jade Reed's so incredibly volatile. And I love Jade Reed. But the way the distribution of targets goes, and again, without you just don't really know what to think here with this Green Bay game with Brandon Allen now at quarterback. And the Packers defense has been really good this year. And so that also concerns me. So I think I would just go Tyrone Tracy, who's just a little bit safer. And you got the run back option too there and within your lineup. So, that Tyrone Tracy correlates a lot better with Evans and Hunt. Tom, star one, Abdullah, Brooks, or Benson have Kamara and Bijan on bye McGettin. I think I'm gonna go with Trey Benson.
I'm gonna go Abdullah.
It's just with Benson, we've actually seen him start to have standalone value. He's seen 10 touches in each of the last 2 games that they've played against Chicago and the Jets. Somewhat involved in the passing game. It's just I just don't know what to think at all about any of these running backs, and it's a really, really, really bad matchup for the Raiders. I mean, the Broncos defense has just been incredible this year. So it's possible he gets there. I just slightly lean Trey Benson.
I think Abdullah at least has the pass catching floor, and the Broncos have given it up through the air to running backs.
Yeah,
I think it's like the 3rd most catches and 5th most yards, something like that. They're top 5 in terms of allowing the most. I just can't remember which way it's flipped.
Yeah. I mean, Benson does have a cap ceiling. I mean, he would need obviously Connor to go down for him to like really be able to. So I do think Abdullah probably has the higher ceiling. I just think Benson might have a little bit safer floor. Karn, need 1 running back, 1 flex. Benson, Abdullah. Oh wait, I'm reading the same question. No, wait, no, I'm not. That's just happen to have the same player. Benson, Abdullah, Brooks. That's funny. This had
It's going to be Abdullah and Hunter Henry.
It's going to be what?
Abdullah and Hunter Henry.
Thought I was reading the same thing there for a second. Right there, I was like, wait, I just read. Oh no, I didn't. It's just the same question with the same players. There's a few different.
That's
yeah,
fine.
it would be Hunter Henry and Trey Benson for me. Jose, half-point PPR, Kyler, CMC, Gibbs, Evans, Tyreek. Guess that's supposed to be Nico. Jacobs, bench is Chubb, Brian, maybe Bijan Robinson, Higgins, London, Neighbors, Laporta.
Brian Robinson.
Over what? Is there a question? Am I missing that question?
Probably just if there's any any changes. And that's supposed to be Njoku, not Nicky.
Oh, I was just guessing it was Nico, but I would leave it the way that it is. Oh yeah, he changed it. Yeah.
I would go B-Rob over, if that's Brian Robinson, I would play Brian Robinson over Jacobs.
Interesting. Yeah. I would lean Jacobs, but it is close between the two of them. I don't hate that. I didn't skip.
I think we.
Right. Oh, yeah. See? Well, we'll skip Karn. Another league. Need 1 flex, 1 wide receiver. Harrison, Hunt, Flowers, Stevenson, and Downs. Oh, man. I would go Josh Downs at wide receiver and Kareem Hunt in the flex. Well, I don't know. Now he has Flowers too. My goodness.
Hunt and Flowers for me.
Yeah. I didn't factor him in. I would go Hunt and Flowers. I really like Marvin Harrison this week. I already talked about Josh Downs. Love him as well. I love so many. I guess it's a good problem to have. Jaden, Swift or Juwan Jennings?
I'm going to go Jennings over Swift. Don't love the matchup. Swift seems like Swift is going to be able to play, but potentially banged up. We saw Roshan get more involved. If this would have been 3 weeks ago with the same quarterback situation, I'd say Swift. But it's only a 1-game sample, so you don't want to take a ton away from that. But we did see Roshan more involved last week.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think I agree. Not good at fantasy. Baker or Herbert? This is Herbert for me.
Herbert. Yeah, so since you're already starting DK, I would definitely go B-Rob there.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Gentlemen, must win this week. Start 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Debo, Bucky, Marv, and D-Hop.
I'm going to
go.
Debo's
ceiling is higher than Bucky's, but his floor is lower. I need the boom potential, basically.
Well, if you need boom, I'm probably going Debo and Marv. But in a vacuum, it would be Debo and Bucky. I love Bucky this week.
I think it's going to be Bucky and Marvin Harrison for me.
Okay.
And me and C-Crip on the right side of history here. He agrees.
Yeah,
I guess not history. It hasn't happened yet. But and then Hawkinson or Disley. It's going to be Hawkinson for me.
I would go Disley if you're swinging.
Muhammad, bitch one. JSN, Sutton, or Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh, boy. I feel like whatever answer is going to be wrong here just because all 3 of these guys are really good plays. But I would probably just sit Sutton.
I agree.
And he's probably going to go off for 30 points today. So that's the way it works. But all 3 are really good options. I just prefer the other 2 a little bit more. Cut to, in what order? Mike Williams, Coker, Braylon, Benson, Corum. I would cut Mike Williams and I would cut Jalen Coker.
I agree. This is not the time of year to be cutting the handcuffs. This is the time of year to be stashing the handcuffs. Mike Williams not fully integrated that offense yet. Even when he is, that like you're gonna be hoping for what he did when he scored that touchdown. Like you're gonna pray that he throws up that Russ throws up the moon ball and Mike Will goes and gets it and scores a touchdown. And with that and Thielen coming back, that really hurts Jalen Coker here. Although it shouldn't, because there's no reason for a team like the Panthers to have Anthony to have Thielen on their team. But here we are.
Yeah. Noel, pick 1 running back, 1 flex. Downs, Jacoby, Rashad, Tracy, half point. So the running back's going to be Tyrone Tracy for me. And then the flex, I'm going to go Josh Downs.
Yep.
And then a follow-up, pick 1, full PPR, Vele or Disley. I'm going to go Disley here.
Disley, baby.
Austin Seibert or Cameron Dicker? Both I really like. And our king is back. Or mine, anyways. Austin Seibert is back this week. Dude's just been an absolute monster all year. Before he got hurt and missed those 2 games, he was the number 1 kicker, averaging 13.5 fantasy points per game. At the time, like he had outscored guys like Travis Kelce and Cooper Kupp, and just quite a few players. Like he's been putting up, like wide receiver 3, RB, low end RB2, high end RB3 type production at kicker. The Commanders also are kicking like the 2nd or 3rd most field goals per game. They're, one of the higher 3rd down conversion rate teams. Good matchup. I'd like Cameron Dicker as well. Cameron Dicker is also like a top 6-7 kicker. I just slightly prefer Seibert for me.
Whatever you say.
Pick 1, half point PPR. Neighbors, Rashad. This is Neighbors. I don't even have to. Yeah, it's Neighbors.
Yeah, I'm still going to go Neighbors.
CD Smitty, is it worth dropping Darnold for Geno, Richardson, or May? Yes, I am perfectly okay with dropping Sam Darnold for Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I would swing with the upside.
Yeah, and the rushing upside that he provides, I think, is pretty massive.
Don't sleep on the wheels on Drake May either. But it's still Richardson.
Oh no, for sure. Drake May definitely. People talk like who he like kind of, and there's been a lot of talk like, is he like a young Josh Allen? Like I think it's possible. Like we've seen some of these teams to get some damn weapons around these guys. Like it feels like it's been forever since the Patriots have had like a legitimate, weapon in the passing game. Like it's what, since Gronk, I guess, or Julian Edelman. Like I feel like I can't think of any since then. Like it's been a while. So like that needs to be their number one priority this offseason, is surrounding him with talent and putting some weapons around him.
Antonio Brown for 2 games.
Forgot about that. Yeah, that's a quick experiment. But anyways, Ashton, appreciate that. This is the Discord. If anybody is interested in joining our Discord, it's absolutely free, no strings attached, and nothing. Just click the link, join, and you're it. And then it is always popping, always questions happening in there. Multiple different channels from redraft, dynasty, DFS, player props, like what you name it. There's all kinds of stuff going on in there. Like I said, absolutely free. That's it. Alejandro, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Tracy, Ramondre, Ladd, McLaurin, JSN. So the running back for me is going to be Tracy. Wide receiver is going to be, oh my goodness, Terry McLaurin, and then I'm going to flex Ladd McConkey.
I think I'm with you. I'm just a little bit worried about McLaurin. If they were to jump out to a big lead and then kind of just park the bus and go with the ground game, but they obviously have to get there before they're able to do that. So I think Diggs is out.
Yeah.
Which certainly helps.
Dell, Ridley, Ramondre start 2.
I'm going to sit Ramondre. I would just take the swing with Ridley. Just cross your fingers and hope for the best.
And also, should I drop Dowdle or Pittman for Christian Watson? I'm going to say no.
I mean, you could with Dowdle, depending on what your running back situation is. It's like it really just depends what other options you have. But like Christian Watson isn't someone that I feel like you have to get onto your bench or into your lineups.
No, there has been some real positive things though coming from him recently. Just his usage, the way they've been utilizing him. Some of his advanced numbers are starting to look a lot better. So that's a positive. And like I like Christian Watson, but I think if I was going to do it at this point, it'd probably be Pittman, just because Pittman has shown no ability whatsoever to provide much of an upside. He looked okay last week in his game back once he missed, the week prior. It was like targets. 4 for 56 or something like that, 8 targets or something. So like, I don't know. He might be a little bit more reliable. So if you're wanting to, for me, and again, I think you probably, I guess without knowing the rest of the team, what all the other running backs you have, I think it's possible you could drop Dowdle, but it really depends on your roster construction and what it is that you're needing.
Yeah.
Ronnie, QJ, or Ridley, Titans O-line is ass, full PPR. The last part is definitely accurate, but it's still Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley's seeing a 32% target share and one of the highest first read target shares. He's also being targeted downfield. It's like 51% of the team air yards, which is just ridiculous. So it would be Calvin Ridley for me. And then Abreu, full PPR, flex Chuba, Rashad White, or Jameson Williams. I'm going to go
JMO.
I think I go Chuba, but it is close. I asked Fantasy Pros. They told me to bench Marvin Harrison Jr., and you told me to bench Sutton. Let's go over this one more time.
I just like the upside with Marv better over Sutton. Kev, you've been talking about it. This is a fantastic matchup for JSN. So he's not leaving the lineup, and it comes down to Sutton and Marv. And I just like the upside better with Marv over Sutton. I like Sutton this week as well. I think it's 70 plus yards in 4 straight games, 100 in 2 of those 4. But if this game plays out how we're expecting it to, I like Marv here. That Seahawks defense has not been able to put it all together yet, so I lean Marv.
Here's the thing. So all three of them, like I think like we answered, like we originally said, that all three are really good options. Like this isn't like like it's not like a substantial thing. Like Cortland Sutton is a top 20 wide receiver this week. Marvin Harrison's a top 20 wide receiver this week.
Yeah.
And so is JSN. Like all three of them are. There's not a lot that separates down. If you want to, kind of go through them, like Cortland Sutton, obviously it helps because the Raiders are missing a ton of their secondary in this game. I think 2 or 3 of their corners are out, so that obviously helps. But where you get concerned is them getting up pretty quickly. They could get there through the air or the ground. If it's through the ground, then that's where the problem comes with Cortland Sutton. You don't really expect the Raiders to be able to push this game at all. And so that is concerning, where the Cardinals and Seattle game has the ability to just go absolutely nuclear, and where it's a 38-31 type game. Like both these defenses are decent. They're not great. And schematically, in terms of just matchups, like I was saying, like Seattle allows the 10th most fantasy points to outside wide receivers. And that is obviously great news for Marvin Harrison, because Marvin Harrison plays almost exclusively on the outside. So I do love that as well. And it's just game environment wise, there's a lot more to like. It's hard to see like either one of these teams like boat racing the other. And so like they're going to be pushing each other the entire game, where that's not necessarily the case for Cortland Sutton. Like I said, this game could get out of hand very, 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 very quickly for the Broncos, where the Broncos just don't really need to do as much. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, Cortland Sutton has been awesome, and he is a really good play this week. I just slightly lean towards Marvin Harrison and JSN. Both of them, those are the two guys. And I can tell you this, Mohammed, I am playing a ton of these guys at DFS today, so I'm putting my own money behind it. So I like both these guys as well, but it is close.
Dog loves it too. Everyone say hi to the Steele family. Homie to Clown. Full PPR start 5. How many yards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to sit one here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we need to sit one, and I'm going to sit Rachaad White.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty easy to me.
Yep. And DJ Moore, little scary, but if the usage is the same as last week, he's still going to see 10 targets in this game. You just hope that he can put up another, what do you have, 60, 70 yards last week with a 0.9 average depth of target, which is bonkers. But I think that's possible in this game. The secondary for Minnesota is not good. And if they're going to be getting the ball out of Williams' hands quickly, that sets up well for DJ Moore.
Yeah. And then all in one show, Jennings, Ridley, or Waddle. This is going to be Ridley for me.
It's going to be Ridley and Bo for me.
I'm going to go Jaden Daniels, slightly over Bo Nix. So, and I did want to ask, this question keeps going on. I keep reading it and keep thinking, if you're still in here, I don't know if you're still in here or not. What does the rest of your team look like? I would be curious to know what other players you're starting. I don't know if he said. I didn't see that.
Oops.
No, he never asked. He just asked who to bench one between the three.
Yeah. Are you afraid to speak in front of your family? What's the problem?
No, I'm good.
Just such anger.
Yeah, you're trying to, you try to. Anyways, That being said, that's the last question. I don't see anything else in here. Oh, there's one. Over on Twitch, Firefighter, Lamar, Goff, or Stafford. This is Lamar.
Yeah, it's still going to be Lamar. I mean, looking back at it, that should have been an easy fade spot for Lamar. Like the Steelers just have the Ravens number. AFC North type of battle. And like this, like the issue with Goff is it can always just end up being where he drops back 22 times, and instead of him throwing 4 touchdowns on those 22 dropbacks, it ends up being 4 rushing touchdowns instead. And that would crush Jared Goff. I like Jared Goff a lot this week, starting him in DFS, but it's still going to be Lamar.
Yeah, and I think don't get me wrong. Goff been really good, but Goff he's been incredibly efficient this year. Even last week he only threw the ball 29 times. Like it wasn't like he dropped back a ton. It was just he was just incredibly efficient on his dropbacks, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. But like you said, like you have the real chance of losing, multiple touchdowns, and that's the frustrating thing with Goff is that once they get down inside the goal line, they're going to look to pound it in with one of the running backs. So he intends to lose some of those opportunities. So you can have games where, where he's had games this year where he scored 12 and 9 and 10, fantasy points. Might have still had a good game, like the game where he scored 10 against week 2 against Tampa Bay. He threw for 300 yards, but had 0 touchdowns. So like that's just what can end up happening with him. And then Hockenson or Laporta PPR. This is gonna be Hockenson for me.
Yeah.
Drop Taysom if I have Kelsey. My league lets you start tight end in the flex. I wouldn't.
It depends on who it's for, but I can't imagine there's anyone you're dropping Taysom for that has a higher ceiling.
Yeah. Alex, Chargers or Tampa Bay defense? This is going to be Tampa for me.
Rest of the season?
Oh, right. Oh, see? Sometimes you just got to read the whole thing through and not just stop. Rest of the season would be the Chargers. But the Chargers, I will say the Chargers, like their schedule upcoming isn't necessarily fantastic. Like they have a lot more of these games like they've had the last 2 weeks coming up where you're playing against good offenses. So like you get the Ravens obviously this week, then you get the Falcons, which you could go either way on that, but then they get the Chiefs, in Kansas City. Then you get the Bucks, which it's not a terrible matchup, but it's not great either. But then the Broncos. You have to just to get to. The fantasy football. So really, I don't think any of those games that I just listed are games where you just feel like fantastic about playing the Chargers. Maybe the Falcons game, but that's about it. And then until you get to the Patriots, which is the fantasy championship day. So, like, I don't really love either one of these defenses rest of season, if I'm being honest. But because at least the Bucks, when you look at them, they play the Giants. I will say just upcoming. Actually, now I look at it, never mind. It's easily the Bucks. So I knew the Chargers schedule was rough, but then now looking at the Bucks, they get the Giants, then the Panthers, then the Raiders, the Chargers game obviously, but then they get the Cowboys and then the Panthers again. So it's easily the Bucks.
Yeah.
Rest of season. Baker or Jane Daniels PPR. This is Jane Daniels for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree. The only thing that worries me is we haven't seen Jaden rushing as much, and I would assume that's something that continues this game. But it's probably still Daniels.
Appreciate you, Muhammad. Your question is going to be the one that I'm going to be thinking about a lot today during 3:00 games. Just kind of monitoring that. Seems to happen where there's a couple things that I remember, stand out to me throughout the game, and then I end up when we do these shows, that I was trying to follow back on and see how it did. So This is going to be one of them. Alex, flex one, Jacobs or Pittman? This is easily Jacobs for me.
Yep.
Dropping Coker for Penn State, great. Theo Johnson.
Let's go.
Alex, start two, Myers, Pittman, Waddle, PPR. I'm going to go Myers and Waddle.
I think so.
Hey, guys, what's a good defense to start today? I mean, of course I deleted all that. The Commanders are a really good play today. The Bucks for sure. I think the Packers become pretty interesting as a defense that you could look to play this week. You have your obvious, the Texans, the Broncos, the Vikings, all those defenses, the Lions, all those. But I think everybody's playing, probably widely, not available as an option. I think a sneaky defensive play for this week would be the Cardinals. Cardinals defense has actually been a top 12 defense this year. I don't necessarily love it, but if you're really desperate, you could look there. But for me, I think widely is pretty much like the Packers, the Commanders, the Bucks. I think are the three that I really want to play the most of.
Yeah, I'm looking. Bucks are still available in 35. Well, they're only rostered in 35% of ESPN leagues, so that's one that probably should be available. You mentioned the Cards. Don't love it, but they're only rostered in 20%. So I would think one of those that we mentioned would be available for you, Elio. Commander's still available in over 50% of ESPN leagues. So if they're out there, they're the ones that I want to grab.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with so many of the offensive linemen out for the Cowboys as well. I mean,
yeah.
And then Cooper Rush is an absolute statue back there. Like he's not getting out of that pocket.
No.
So this may be a no-brainer. Considering Brock Purdy out, do I play Johnny or Kittle? I'm still going to roll Kittle. Yeah, I'm going to go with Kittle. I did, like I said, like we've said, like I dropped Kittle down in my rankings once Brock Purdy got ruled out, but I still have him as a top 8 tight end this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a no-brainer. I get the question with as well as John, who's been playing, and with multiple quarterbacks over that time period as well. So it's no longer just like, oh, it was while Tua was out, John was going off. I would still lean Kittle as well. Kev, this is one that I'm gonna be thinking about and watching. You mentioned Muhammad's question earlier. This is now going to be another one because I don't think we've said Jonnu a single time yet. So that's going to be the one that I watch for the rest of the day.
Well, at least with the first one, we'll know pretty quickly because that one's at noon. I think the Packers and 49ers game's at 3. So if Johnny goes out and has another monster game, it's like, oh well, we're right then. I'm like, yeah. Alex, sorry, I missed the flex question. That we said Jacobs pretty easily, convincingly. Alex, McLaughlin or Moody?
Oh, you, buddy.
It's gonna be McLaughlin for me. I just lower down the overall offensive environment here for Jake Moody. So McLaughlin was already somebody I really liked, especially now that they have all their pass catchers back, offensive production and everything else. So I would go Chase McLaughlin here over Jake Moody. Rock out, pick 2, Ladd, JMO, Stevenson. It's going to be the first 2 for us. And do you risk Ladd? Like I've said, like this isn't a situation where like a couple weeks ago with like Nico, where we weren't sure what was going to happen. I feel pretty strong that Ladd McConkey is going to play this game. He's practiced, the last 2 days. Like we said, he did the AC sprain very early in the game against the Bengals. He played through the rest of the game without much restriction. I think he is absolutely fine.
Yeah, as long as there's no balls that he's reaching up to get. You did see that whenever he came back. There was the one that Herbert just missed him on, sailed it over his head, and you could tell when he went to like put his arm up to try and go up and get the ball, he immediately brought it back down. So as long as he doesn't have to put his arms over his head, he should be fine. I wouldn't bench Marv and flex Jonnu. If you want to get Jonnu in over Kittle, I'm fine with that. But I would not do it at the expense of Marv.
Who's telling you to bench Marvin Harrison is what I want to know. That's the question.
I think he's just saying something's telling, like a gut feel.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, dude, something's telling me. Oh, yeah. Yourself is telling you. I mean, if at the end of the day, like I've said, it's your fantasy team, so you gotta do it. You gotta do what's best for you. And so, if that's what your gut's telling you, then then roll. Like that's I'm not the one making a decision. It's not my team, so I can just present to you like the why that I like Marvin Harrison so much this week. I know Marvin Harrison's been really volatile, but the matchups just sets up really, really well for him today, and that's why I like him so much. Like I've said, I'm putting my money behind him. I'm playing a lot of them. So, but if that's what your gut is telling you, then I have no problem doing it. If that's what you want to do, I mean, but also some of it's probably recency bias, right? He's coming off a game where he scored 30 fantasy points, and so it's hard to. That's why fantasy or recency bias exists. Seibert or Dicker? I'll have to drop a player this week before kickoff in order to place Seibert over Dicker. 13-mile-an-hour winds in Washington are decisions. It's the win. That win doesn't bother me at all. Like that's not a big deal. 13 mile an hour is pretty. If it was like 20, 30 mile an hour winds, I'd be a lot more concerned. So we don't worry about that. And we've already had the same question, and it's Seibert for me. He's just been so incredibly consistent this year. I don't think he's scored under. I have to look. It's been a minute because he's been out for a few weeks, but he hasn't. He's pretty much scored 9 or more fantasy points every single game this year. He's never scored under 9 fantasy points this year. So, like, you don't find that with kickers. Like, usually it's a lot of volatility. He scores 15 one week, and then he'll score 3 or 4 for a couple of weeks, and then he'll score another 12, 15 fantasy points. Like, he has been the most consistent kicker the entire season. Every time you've played him, he has played really well, and he has continually been a top 5, top 10 kicker all year. So I don't mind Cameron Dicker. Like I've said, he's a top 8 kicker for me this week, but I just love Austin Seibert. The Commanders kick field goals at one of the highest rates in the league as well. So just everything sets up really well for Austin Seibert in this game. What's the Bucs wide receiver depth chart for EC? It's Mike Evans. I think it's Jalen McMillan, and then Sterling Shepard in the flex.
Yeah,
or in the flex in the slot. In the flex. In the slot.
I knew you meant.
Yeah. So, anyways, that being said, let's get out of here. We got a lot of content coming this week that we're going to have to do in a short period of time this week. We'll be back again tonight for the week 13 waiver for the week. And then we will be recording and doing the running backs and wide receiver stuff like we did last week. We'll be doing that early. That'll be coming out earlier because of all the Thursday games and everything that's happening there. Kicker and defense video will also be dropping either tomorrow or Tuesday. And then we'll be going live again on Wednesday night like we always do. Sure, we'll talk a lot about food and Thanksgiving food as we always do. We already know, people that don't know, Cody is a big 4th of July guy. He prefers 4th of July over Thanksgiving food, apparently.
Not even close.
I don't understand that. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for a hot dog or a hamburger. But everything else that goes with Thanksgiving is kind of weird. But get into these two really quickly. Alex, Hopkins, Watson, Jennings, McLaurin. This is going to be Hopkins and McLaurin for me.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he will be.
Now that he's over the hamstring injury, he was the starter. And when he went down with the hammy injuries, when we saw all these other guys start to factor in, same thing with Evans. But now that they're healthy, I think it's Evans and McMillan.
Yeah. One more, Downs or JMO, only if you can. Yes, we can. This is going to be Josh Downs.
Downs.
Yeah. And then thanks, guys. Love your videos. Appreciate that. Appreciate you checking them out. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. But like I said, let's go ahead and get out of here. Short time until kickoff. Hope everybody has a good day today. Hope everybody runs pure. Hope nobody suffers any injuries. And then, get ready for this, awesome, Thanksgiving Day or Thanksgiving week upon us. So keep it locked in here. Like I said, we have a ton of content coming out this week that we're going to be doing in short order. Probably won't be getting much sleep, but for the brand, it's okay. So keep it locked in here. Like I said, we'll be back again here tonight for the waivers. Hopefully everything, we don't have a lot to talk about because then there's no injuries. If we do, oh boy, because there's a lot to get through this week, and there's a lot of less times to make decisions when you have all these games on Thursday. So anyways, let's get out of here.